6:33 on Oklahoma's First News, Mullins in the morning. And it is always good to welcome in our senior senator, now ranked as the top conservative senator in the United States, and he's on our Newsmaker line. Good morning, sir. Hi.
Hey, Reid. Nice to be with you.
Thank you, Mr. Conservative.
Well, you know, the National Journal had their thing, and I was really pleased because there are some things where people criticize me. In some areas, I'm a big spender, such as transportation and defending America. I've always felt that national defense and then our roads and highways infrastructure should be the two areas that we're supposed to be concentrating on up here. And yesterday was in some way a victory. Jim Bunning is one of my best friends. He and I were elected together, and he's actually been to Oklahoma campaigning with me in the past. And I think he realized that we have to do something about our infrastructure. In the state of Oklahoma, as Gary Ridley, who was with me yesterday, and I think we talked to your station, we are in the middle of contracts that if we weren't able to break this thing, we would actually have to default on contracts. We would have jobs that would, not just the jobs gone, but like our crumbling bridges and all the things that are taking place right now, would have to stop. And we can't do that. We've got to get back on this road where we have a priority to roads and highways. So that it did happen yesterday, in a way I think that's good news.
But, you know, Jim Bunning was trying to point out, I think, that we have a bunch of stimulus dollars that we haven't spent yet. Why can't we just use those?
Well, I'm all for it. I tried it. I tried it on the last day of the fiscal year, that Wednesday, September 30th, I think it was. We tried our best to do it, and then we wouldn't be in the dilemma that we have right now. We would have had a long-term extension that would have kept all of our road programs going. They refused to do it. And now listen to this. This is a tough one, Reid, but you'll understand this, and it's going to be hard to explain. But I told Barbara Boxer that night, and that was September 30th, if you'll come back with it took about $19 billion to do this, billion with a B, to extend the road program for another year. And I said, I don't care where you get it, just have the Democrats agree. Well, she came back and said they've agreed to take it out of the TARP money. I said, great, wonderful job. But it was the Republicans that stopped it. And it was all those Republicans who voted for the $700 billion bailout are trying to make people think, well, that was just a loan, all that money is going to be paid back. And if we admit that that we're going to use any of that for roads, and we only wanted $19 billion out of $700 billion, but if we admit that, then we're admitting that we've made a bad vote. So that's how complicated this thing is. And Bunny was with me on that, by the way.
One more question about him, we'll move on. Do you think he hurt the GOP at all?
I don't think so. I think, you know, he's a little bit bitter. Bunny is a bitter person. He's not running again. He's out of politics. And I think it kind of came across that way. He's just an individual. I would have to say I don't think so. And besides that, if you look at what is going to come out on the health care thing, and I don't know nearly as much, you know, obviously should have Tom Coburn. He'd know a lot more about this than I would. He was in that White House meeting. But if they push what they're talking about pushing right now and doing it with reconciliation, I agree with Mitch McConnell. He said that this is all they're going to talk about between now and the midterm elections, because this was the main thing. What was all during the August recess when they had all the tea parties? It was the deficit, the high deficits. Well, we're on the right side of that. It was the stimulus and the cap and trade. But those things right now, the health care was the major issue. And if he pushes this through and does it through reconciliation, which is a parliamentary procedure, I agree with Mitch McConnell. People are going to be outraged. They're not going to accept a government-run program that is just jammed through. Look how offended they were when Nancy Pelosi jammed it through the House. I think that's what's going to happen in the Senate.
Well, Senator, I mean, there's some Republicans even saying, yeah, hey, go ahead, let them pass it, let the thing be awful and fail, and we can maybe undo it later. This is a tough thing to undo.
Yeah, it is. I'm not among those who say, let them go ahead and pass it, and then I would rather have them do everything they could to pass it, including try reconciliation. The problem they're going to deal with reconciliation is that allows us to have unlimited amendments. So we'll be able to have amendments that would make it very, very difficult for Democrats to vote against, but they'd have to vote against it. if they're going to try to if they make a commitment to get this through on a partisan basis. So I think that they're in a real tough position, and it's easy for the president to say, I don't care what you guys do, we're going to ram this thing through. But there are an awful lot of Democrats in the Senate who don't much want to go home and say, aren't you proud of me? We now have a government-run health care system. I think we're going to end up winning this thing, and I don't want to take the chance of passing it and then trying to undo it later.
I hate to limit you to 60 seconds. That's all I got left. Afghanistan, our war, how we doing? It looks like it's been, an awful time so far this year.
Well, it has been an awful time. You have to kind of break it out, the problems that are down in the south and then, of course, up on the border. And let's keep in mind, Afghanistan's twice the size of Iraq. We've had half the number of people there, and I'm talking about the whole coalition forces, and it's got to have a chance for the surge to work, and I believe it will.
All right, very good. Senator, always good to talk to you, and we want to get in touch with you again very soon.
That's great, Reid.
The reconciliation thing goes on, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. That is our